heaven and earth. Do you believe?
Yes, I believe.
I believe in Jesus Christ. Do you believe?
Yes, I believe.
Everlasting Son of God. Do you believe?
Yes, I believe. Oh, yes, I believe in the Father and the Son.
Mighty Father, I believe. Do you believe?
Yes, I believe.
You created heaven and earth. Do you believe?
Yes, I believe.
I believe in Jesus Christ. Do you believe?
Yes, I believe.
Everlasting Son of God. Do you believe?
Yes, I believe. Oh, yes, I believe in the Father and the Son.
Mighty Father, I believe. Do you believe?
Yes, I believe.
You created heaven and earth. Do you believe?
Yes, I believe.
I believe in Jesus Christ. Do you believe?
Yes, I believe.
Everlasting Son of God. Do you believe?
Yes, I believe. Oh, yes, I believe in the Father and the Son.
Mighty Father, I believe. Do you believe?
Yes, I believe.
You created heaven and earth. Do you believe?
Yes, I believe.
Hello, dear viewers. Welcome to this program, My Catholic Faith, a program that helps us understand the teachings of the Catholic Church. I am your presenter, Grace Kasapato. I am just standing in for Josephine Musonda. Today, as usual, Father Arthur is here to help us discuss the topic of the day, which is the Church, a family of God. Father, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah.
Father, today we are wrapping up on our series, the traditional images of the church.
Yeah.
And today we are talking about the church, a family of God. Why is the church considered a family of God?
Because it is the family of God. Because it is founded by God. First of all, let us start from Christ himself. Jesus calls Peter. He says, Peter, you are the rock, and on this rock, I'll build my church. So from there, the church begins to form. The church is founded and confirmed at Pentecost. The disciples are gathered in that enclosed house or in a room for fear of the Jews out there. And then they receive the Holy Spirit. And after receiving that Holy Spirit, what happens? Something dramatic happens. They all of a sudden have the courage to go out, because now they have the energy, they have the fire, which they need for them to go out and preach. So they go out, not as individuals, not as Peter, as John, as whoever else is there, but as a church. So the church is a family of God because it is not a formation of a human being. It is God's plan. It is part of God's thought. It is part of God's we can say God's plan for humanity, that there should be a church through which human beings can receive salvation. But when you talk about the church as family of God also, I want to draw our attention to the 1994 Synod of Africa, because that is where this topic is well developed, well discussed, and later St. John Paul II writes an encyclical letter, which is Ecclesia in Africa, like the church in Africa. That was in 1995, just after the Synod of Bishops. The African Synod of the Bishops. So in this document, St. John Paul II develops this theme with an African touch, from the family understanding of Africa, or from the African understanding of family. So what does it say? It says in Africa you already have very strong family ties, which go beyond just the nuclear family. And he makes this comparison with the Western understanding of family. Okay, in the Western world, family, what they would consider as family is the nuclear family. There isn't so much emphasis on the extended. But in Africa, it is different. Family is not just those that you are born with within the nuclear family. Family is even your cousins, even your distant cousins, even your uncles or distant uncles, distant aunties, and so on. That's why we have a bigger, in Africa, we have a bigger family tree than anywhere else in the world. So when St. John Paul II in that Ecclesia in Africa document begins to talk about the church as family of God, he says, we want the church to be the way the African family is. The church should not just be, or is not just those people that belong to that parish. The church also touches those that do not necessarily belong to that parish. In other words, the church has to have doors open to everyone. It's not just those people that are in that smoke-some community or in that lay group or in that parish, in that center. It is open to everyone. We can talk about it in terms of the extended family, that the church should also be able to reach out to that person that doesn't even come to your parish, for example. The church should extend her hands to people like that, so that it acquires that image of the extended family. So when you talk about the church as family of God, it is two things. First of all, we are talking about the church as a foundation or as the making of God himself. The church comes from God. But then this church is grouped, or it has members that are grouped together from different walks of life. They come together to share life, to share their experiences together. So they come together and they form what we can call now family. Because when they gather together in this family, they are no longer strangers who are coming from different walks of life. They are now related.
One.
They are one, yes. You can even talk about the issue of unity there. They are now related. They may not be related by blood, but certainly they are related by what we call the waters of baptism. So we all become relatives. We all become just one big family that is also open to those that are in the extended space.
Okay.
Yeah.
Father, sorry to cut you short. You said a church is a coming together of different people to worship God, and then there's this scenario where a person just leaves the church to say, ine mujam church hii naoneka ndio vitika mujam church ni siendelana, let me build my own church and start my own family. Does that also become a real family of God, or is just a subject on its own?
So Grace is part of this church, and then for some reason she decides to break out and form her own family of God or her own church. Then what would we call that? Let me say that when we talk about the church as family of God, first of all, even before we look at the last part, family of God, just talking of the church, we're talking of the church that is founded by Christ, the church that is 2000 plus years ago or old, the church that is coming from as far back as that time. That is what we mean by the church. Of course, the word church can also extend to those that were established, the churches or that were established last month or last year or 5 years ago, and so on and so forth. But in this case, when we talk about the church, we're talking about the church that is founded by Christ those many years ago. The church from which all these other people begin to break away. That is what we're talking about. Then when they break away, what do they become? Well, they become a sect. Okay? You know a sect?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. They break away and they become that sect or a gathering of Christians who are praying together. We are not taking away anything from them, from the fact that they have gathered to pray to God. But when we talk about the church, we're talking about that church, the Catholic Church, that was born more than 2,000 years ago. This is the subject. And this is what we are referring to as the family of God. No one should break away from the family of God. If you have issues in the family of God, sort them out in the family of God. Don't break away. Sort them out in that family of God. Otherwise, you just end up a sect.
Okay, so it's important that we just build, we stand strong in that foundation and just keep on building it. Yes. Because from what you're saying, the Catholic Church, it has a strong foundation on its own.
Everybody knows that the Catholic Church is the mother church. Even if you went out and talked to Protestant or other denominations, they will tell you that yes, the Catholic Church is the mother church, because everybody was Catholic before they became what they are today. Everybody was part of this. And here, when we are defining what a family of God is, or church as family of God, what we are talking about is the main stem. It is not the branches. The branches become sects, the others become ecclesial communities. You know, an ecclesial community is a community of Christians who gather together to pray. Yeah, of course, they will say we are also a church. We are not refuting that. But as far as we are concerned, from our own point of view, we are saying they become an ecclesial community. They become a community of believers, a community of Christians who gather together to pray. But when we talk about the church, everybody knows that we're talking about the mother church. And this is what we are defining as family of God, because it is founded by God himself, not on God, but by God through the first leader of this community, of this Christian community, Peter. Peter, you are the rock, and on this rock I'm going to build my church.
Okay, I see why the Catholic Church still stands so strong even after so many years. Father, how can one become a member of God's family?
How can one become? The first thing is baptism. Okay. For you to become a member, to be given a membership card, you need to go to undergo the waters of baptism. Be baptized, but you should also know that that baptism comes with responsibilities. It is not just getting baptized and being part of this family of God, and that's it. You begin to acquire certain responsibilities depending on your status in this family of God. If you are a lay person, if you are a priest, if you are whatever you are, you have your own responsibilities within this bigger picture of the family of God. So, but the entry point is baptism. This baptism makes you or introduces you to this family. You become an official member of this church. Remember when disciples were making more disciples, when they were growing the church. For one to be part of the Christian community, you can read the Acts of the Apostles. For one to become member of the Christian community, they were getting baptized. So that aspect is important. If you are an adult and you are not yet baptized, but you are a committed member of the church, you have to know that you are not an official member of the church. Things get even more complicated when you die and you are very committed, but you are never baptized. Things become complicated because we cannot celebrate Mass for one who is not a member of the church. And if you are not baptized, it means you are not a Christian. We cannot give you a Christian send-off because you are not a Christian unless you die as a catechumen, because you are on the way to baptism. Then you are going to be given. So if you are an adult and you are not yet baptized and you are taking your time, please go and receive that baptism. Become an official member of the church. It is important for you so that we don't have to crack our heads when you die. What are we going to do? Okay. Yeah. No one is dying. But
Father, on that point where you said only if you are baptized, then that's when you can become a member of this Christian community. Then here's a person who is not baptized. Then this person dies, unfortunately. Then you deny them of the right send of them in a Christian way. Isn't that judging them in the way we see it? To say, no, this one wasn't part of a Christian community. He was a sinner, so we can't do this. Isn't that judging that particular person?
And Jesus says, "Thou shalt not judge."
Exactly.
No, it is not judging. Okay, it is not judging. We are not just. You see, when this person was alive, they had the opportunity to receive baptism. Okay, they had the opportunity to decide to receive baptism, but they never did that. When they die in that state, we are not judging them by not giving them a Christian send-off. If anything, they have judged themselves. Okay, what we are doing is just the correct thing. This person, you see, for you to have a Christian send-off, the minimum you need is baptism. Some years back, we used to have talks around Mutulo, did she pay Mutulo, did he pay Mutulo, blah, 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 blah. But all those things are secondary. The primary thing, even now, if someone dies today who is baptized but was never committed to the church, as long as this person was, and it is proven that this person was baptized Catholic, then this person will be given a Christian send-off. Let's say they were not very committed, maybe not, nobody even knew them at church. They could come maybe once in a while, once in a year, twice in a year, and all that, and then they die. If that person was baptized, they deserve a Christian. If I were a parish priest in that particular parish, okay, where there is a situation like that, I would celebrate Mass for that person. So what are we saying? What we are saying is, for you to be part of the Christian community, to be a Christian, you have to be baptized. If you die, God forbid, but if you die without having been baptized, you have died not a Christian. And if people refuse to give you a Christian send-off, they are not judging you. They are not giving you they are not just giving you what you don't deserve. Let us put it that way, because you are not that. You are not a Christian, and therefore you don't deserve a Christian send-off. Get the point? So it's important people get baptized before we get in complicated things like that.
Now, Father, just like that, where you said, we're not subjected to judge, but we're supposed to do the right thing.
Yes.
How are Christians, or rather members of God's family, supposed to treat each other? Okay.
We take it now that we are dealing with people that are baptized, people that are members of the church. So then comes in your question: how are they supposed to
treat each other?
With respect, with honor. They have to treat each other with love, with fraternal concern. Okay, because when you are a family, you are not strangers anymore. You relate, you can connect in one way or another. Okay, I understand you to a certain extent, and you also understand me to a certain extent, because we have come to know each other to a certain level. So how do we then, as a family of God, I need to give you space in this family of God, as much as you need to give me space also. No one should feel maybe they are not given space, they don't feel that sense of belonging. Otherwise, people begin to scatter. People begin to say, I will not go back to that parish anymore. So, and no, when you read the Ecclesia in Africa, St. John Paul II talks about the values of an African family. Okay, that in Africa, we have a very strong sense of these values of respect. Okay. And when we talk about respect, we are talking about mutual respect. An adult knows that they deserve respect from
a young person.
Exactly. But this young person also, this adult also understands that they need to give back the respect to the young one, so that this young one does not retaliate with disrespect. So there has to be that mutuality. In Africa, we have this sense of community, community life, because we understand that we are not just a family, a nuclear family, we are also a community who, in that compound, if you live Mwakanyama in a particular setup or compound, you are not just a collection of people that came together, built houses together, and so they live in that setup together. No, you form a certain sense of family life, such that if you are cooking in Shima, and then you realize that the meal that you had is not enough to make the Shima, you can come to my house and ask for some meal. So exactly. So because of that family life which we share, that community life that we share, and you will have no problem to come to my house and ask for that, because we have become a family. And St. John Paul II in that document is saying, the same way, we respect each other and we show concern for one another in that African family life, should also be applied in the church. That we come together when we are seated in church, attending Mass. The person that is seated next to me is not just somebody I just met or I congregate with. No, this person is my family. This person is my brother, is my sister. They deserve my respect as much as I deserve their respect. If I see that my friend here is struggling, my friend here has no employment, I have employment, I have connections, I need to feel morally compelled to do what? To help them, because they are family. Tomorrow I'm the one that is going to be in want. This person is going to assist me. So you come together as a family, not just as a collection of people who are baptized. In fact, the waters of baptism that you received yourself, through which you were introduced in the family of God, those waters are not different from what I went through. It is the same. The same way that we share the same blood as human beings. Your blood is not green, it is red. My blood is red, everybody's blood is red. So that in itself should bring about unity in the way we relate, in the way we live as one family. That water of baptism should unite us as one. When we sit in Mass, attending Mass, and feeding from the same table of the Lord, that also in itself is an aspect or is a point of unity for us. You cannot be in a family setup eating from the same plate, same cup, and yet you are not talking to each other. Yet you are treating each other as strangers. Then you are not family at all to begin with. Because you can agree with me that in these our compounds, there are people who live in the same house. They eat from the same plate and pot, and they use the same entrance and exit of the house. But they never relate as a family. They never talk to each other. If it is husband and wife, something happened and they don't want to reconcile, and so they go on and on. Sound no picture, kapena ni picture no sound. Yes. Parents have differed with children. They don't talk nicely. A daughter against mother, mother against son, and so on and so forth. If it is in the extended family, maybe it is even worse. That when something happens with that uncle, that aunt, that people don't want, we do have these kind of relationships that are broken, so to say. But then, how can we refer to ourselves as a family if we continue to sit on such relationships? And even within the church, how can we continue to call ourselves as a church, as a family, if I don't even know the name of the person that is seated next to me? If I don't talk to that chairperson because of what he said or what she said, maybe I don't talk even God forbid, even to a priest. I don't talk. So how do we live this community life, this family life, if we allow ourselves to be divided by those little things? So as a family of God, we should be united. We should be united not just by baptism, but also by the Eucharist that we all receive from the same. We eat from the same chalice or drink from the same chalice, from the same ciborium. All these are points that unite us and make us as one family.
Okay, Father, so being a family of God, we are only a family when we meet together in church, or does it also apply? Is it also our responsibility to look out for those people that we congregate with those people that we share the same church with?
Is it our responsibility?
Yes. Because we're a family of God.
Let me call it a moral responsibility, not just responsibility, because if we leave it dry like that, it might not really communicate what it should communicate. So it is our moral responsibility to ensure that those our brothers and sisters within this family of God that are not doing fine, that are struggling, are uplifted in one way or another. So I should feel morally compelled. For example, if I have, we just talked about connections. Okay?
Yeah.
If I have strong connections, and those shouldn't be dubious connections. We're not talking about bribery here. But we're talking about creating an enabling. If I am able to create an enabling environment for someone to be employed, why shouldn't I do that for that person whom I congregate with, and I know that this person has been struggling to find employment. Yes. So if there is an opening at our company, why can't I whisper to that person to say, hey, at my company there is this opening. The email is this one. Apply. So I should feel morally compelled to help that person in that manner. If you are a smoke some community, and in that community you know that you have that old lady that needs help at her place. Maybe she's not able to do a lot of things for herself. She lives alone, or she lives with her small grandchildren and all that. And they struggle to eat, to find something to eat and all that. As a community, why shouldn't you feel morally compelled to do something about the strain of that person? That is, if you are able to do that, if you have the means as a community to help that person, you should feel morally compelled. It is your moral responsibility to do something. And that is how we build a family of God. That is how you build your Smokesang community. A community where everybody looks out for everybody else. Where nobody should feel maybe I don't really belong here. Maybe because people here are very cold. They don't, even if I complain that I need this and that, and I know that people here are able to help, but then no one seems to be moving. Once we begin to make people feel that manner or that way, what are we doing? We are distancing them from the community. The next thing we see is an empty seat. That place where they used to sit. And maybe it will not even bother us to say, azaka boy kapena naenda kapena what. But you don't know that this person is just feeling out of place when they come. They are not, or they're not feeling part of the community anymore because of the way they've been treated, or because of the attitude, the cold attitude sometimes of the members of that community. So we talked about responsibility. Yes, everyone should feel responsible or morally responsible to reach out to those that seem to be struggling, provided you all have the means. If you have the means, help out. If you don't have the means, it is understandable that you don't have the means. But maybe the least you can do also is to express concern, even just a listening ear. You may not have the 50 kwacha to give to that person so that they buy food to eat. But just listening to their complaint can make them feel at least somebody is available to listen to my issues.
To my issues.
Yeah.
Okay. Father, what impact does the church have on a Christian's life in growing their faith?
The church is a nursery, okay? A nursery where faith is grown, is nurtured. A Christian that distances themselves from the church begins to miss out on a lot in as far as their spiritual growth is concerned. When they come to the church, they come to a school, let's call it a school of faith. Yeah. So they come to a school of faith where through the various sacraments, Christ himself attends to them. Through the different activities of the church, their faith is nourished. When there is adoration at church, go there and participate in that activity. Those are moments of spiritual growth. When there is mass, go there and attend mass when you're able to attend. Those are moments of spiritual growth. When there is a parish day of recollection, go there and participate in that activity. that is a golden moment for you, for your faith to be nourished. I know this Good Friday, many parishes will be having spiritual talks, recollections, and so on and so forth. A lot of spiritual things will be happening in the parishes the whole of the Holy Week. Why should you distance yourself from that when you know that you don't just need to grow physically or economically, financially, whatever, but also spiritually? Why should you distance yourself from that? Go and participate in what is happening. You can even ask, where can I be of help? Can I participate in going to kuchola tumachan tumapam tukanjeza tunchindu? Can I participate? When are they going? Or can I bring some firewood to prepare the fire on Holy Saturday? Be active. Participate in what is happening. There's a lot of spiritual growth happening if you participate in the activities of the church like that. But unfortunately, we do have a lot of people that distance themselves from the activities of the church. Maybe they feel, or maybe they are too busy. Maybe they just don't feel they should be part of what is happening. It is enough that they attend Mass, and when they come for Mass, they sit behind somewhere in the corner where nobody can see them. They're
waiting for Mass to end.
Yes, after Mass ends, they don't want to talk to anybody, and so on and so forth. Fine. They came to church, they attended Mass and all that. But I think there is more that people can do to participate in the life of the church. Mass is the most important. There we can't even discuss. But the church is offering her children more than just Mass. The church is a school, is a nursery where one's faith can be nurtured through Mass, through adoration, through the rosary, through attending smokes and community meetings, through belonging to a lay group, through a lot of things. There's a lot that is happening. So yeah, the church is a school, and everybody, whoever calls themselves a member of the church, is a student of that school.
Okay, and do we even graduate from this school? Keep on learning?
No, there's no graduation. Fortunately, because if there was graduation, then we would graduate and forget about what you learned from the church.
Okay, Father, as we wrap up, earlier you started saying that the Catholic Church is built on a very strong foundation, such that it keeps on generating throughout the years. How can one help the life of the church to keep on growing each and every day? In your last words, as we wrap up,
as we conclude,
yes,
one can help the church to continue to grow by not being a spectator. When you go to watch a football match, there are players and spectators in the stadium. You are not all spectators. You are not all players. You have
two different roles,
players and spectators. But when you come to church, the church, I think, is the only place where everyone has to be a player. The church is a place where there should not be any spectator at all. Starting from the baby up to the oldest member of the church, everyone has to be a player. And that is the only way that we're going to participate in the mission of the church, by being active. So when you are baptized, you are given the tools for you to be an active member of the church. When you get confirmed, you receive the Holy Spirit so that you can even begin to take up certain important roles in the church. And everybody has to do their part for this church to continue to grow. Sadly, some people are still spectators because they came to church like they are in a stadium. Maybe they thought they went to the stadium, but no, you didn't go to the stadium, you came to church. It is only in the stadium where you find players and spectators. But if you come to church, my friend, you cannot be a spectator because there is no room for a spectator. The growth of the church can be enhanced if everybody, every single person became a player. And as I conclude, it is also our responsibility as members of the church to give each other a chance to be a player. Don't be a number 9, a goalkeeper, a defender. Don't be everything, a striker. You can't be everything. When Father comes to celebrate Mass, Father cannot be the one, the main presider. He can't be the choir. He can't be the usher. He can't be. Father cannot. So you cannot be everything. You know, you have people that want to be everything, and in the process, they are blocking other people. Other people cannot participate because kwanza wagwira ndio amina wafaka maluwa pagua ndio amina wapyanga panja pachaishi. They are the ones doing this and that. They are the ones teaching catechism. They are the ones kupeleka mtulo mbale za mtulo. You cannot do everything. In the end, you know, if you are doing everything, first you become ineffective. So as we become all players, it is also important that we give an opportunity to each other to be players. Don't do everything alone, because everything will break you.
All right. Thank you, Father, for being with us on the program today. I hope our viewers have learned at least one or two. They will be able to be productive whenever they go to church. Our dear viewers, we have come to the end of this program. Just like we said, today was the last episode of the series of the traditional images of the church. Join us next week as we'll be unveiling another series about the Catholic Church. I have been your presenter, Grace Kasapato, and Father Arthur, who was our mentor for today. For now, it is bye until next time.
Bye-bye.
Mighty Father, I believe. Do you believe?
Yes, I believe.
You created heaven and earth. Do you believe?